Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Spicing Up Your Sexuality. I had a few different ideas on how this is going to look, and they've all fallen apart around my ears. So this is going to be really based on a very loose plan and what comes up. And the information I asked was for you to come up with one quality that you feel would benefit you to spice up your sexuality. I've got 3 words already, and anybody can add to these, and we'll just see. It doesn't have to be different. I just want to see where the group wants to go. So we have allowing, and that is allowing your sexuality, allowing it for yourself, allowing it out there. A very, very interesting one is available. All right. I've done a lot of work on myself around meeting people. And what I found was I was not available. I wanted to meet somebody, but my vibration was not available. So, okay. So if you're shut down, and you're waiting for that knight in shining armor, or you're waiting for your partner, your husband, whatever, to show up and make the suggestion. Everybody's yawning already. I love this. Is because you're not available. And I carried that, night on a charger, all that romantic stuff for a long time. And I've noticed, and now I say, well, not now because I'm a bit shut down, but in the last year I've been dating quite a lot. Whereas before there was nothing going on, and I was making the decisions of what I wanted as an individual, not as a woman, not as somebody waiting to be chosen. I've been choosing, and I've been saying what I want and then walking away from what I didn't. So I've become available. So it's a very, very valuable quality. And then spontaneous is another one. Spontaneous. No need to describe what that is in terms of sexuality, in terms of sex, having sex, creating situations for sex. So be spontaneous, and of course, spontaneous will be fun generally and incredibly creative. And let's face it, sex is one of the most creative vibrations on the planet. And we should have more freedom. We should have more of it and make more time for it and more respect for it. It is such a creative, fun vibration if we could get over ourselves, which hopefully we're going to do that. And this, of course, isn't about having sex, but our sexuality will allow us to enjoy, to give and receive more of that. Any more words, any more qualities? Yeah, Larta.
Mine's not really a quality though, it's more like a removal of feelings.
All right, well, let's leave that. What we're looking for, I just want my qualities first, all right? Anybody else got a quality?
Oh, well, Jazz, as you know, I love the ones allowing and available. I mean, they're perfect for me. Yeah.
Yes.
Just to reiterate that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, allowing and spontaneous work for me.
Okay, so we can add some at the end when we see where we're going with this. All right, so the last question is, who has got something that they would actually like to speak about? Okie dokie. All right, great. So Loretta and Elaine. Okay, so what we're going to cover in this, or what I think we're going to cover, is first of all, I'm going to calibrate and see how in alignment we are as a group with allowing, available, spontaneous, and well, let's put sexual down, should we? All right. And then we'll start the releases. So before we do that, just close your eyes, just check in with yourself. And just how do you feel about yourself today? There's lots of stuff going on. You know, it might be about coronavirus, it might be about isolation, it could be about anything. So we're not looking about what it is. It's like, you know, how do you feel? Do you feel shut down? Do you feel excited? Do you feel, or where do you feel shut down? So I'm feeling stuff going on, let's say around my shoulders and neck area. And it feels like a kind of a numbness. And I can feel something in my gut. And I'm going to say that feels like about a 4 or a 5. Okay, all right. So we're not connecting this to anything specific, but just get your number, write it down, and then at the end of it, go back and see what's happened. And again, it's not necessary that these numbers go down. If they go up, it's also evidence because it's showing that stuff is coming up. And so sometimes it can feel more intense as it's moving to come up. So numbers are they're just an indicator of where you're at. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a release. And I've borrowed this from Theta Healing. And I think it's one of the most valuable not valuable. It's one of the biggest things you could possibly do. And we can relate this to anything. And today we're relating it to sex. And we're connecting with whatever you consider to be God, the creator, source, your higher self. That you consider is bigger than you. Now that's bigger than you, that's bigger than this, the conscious mind. When it thinks, if it thinks, connects to sex or sexuality, it just is. There is no judgment. It just is. It cannot be, it's not right, it's not wrong. It just is. And in Theta Healing, what they do is they connect to, and I'm going to call it creator for the sake, just using a word. If you want to use God or divine or source, then do that yourself. We're going to connect you with the creator's definition of sex. And also we are going to align you with the creator's perspective and understanding of sex. So that is, in many ways, it's eliminating a whole pile of stuff that you've got that is downplaying where we're going with this. Okay? Anybody want to ask about that? It's a big deal. All right, okie dokie. So let's find out, is this group aligned, allowing, and safe with allowing their own sexuality more than 50%, more than 40, more than 30, more than 20, 20 to 25, 25, 26, 27. Susan's on a chat here and it's, I think, right. It's difficult for me to see you all and do the chat at the same time, so it's far better if you can to raise your hand. I know, Susan, you're just speak out because I can't do all of that and keep focused. Well, Lindsay can do it for me. All right. So 27% with allowing. Are we allowing? Aligned, allowing, and safe with being available to our sexuality more than 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 10 to 15, 15, 16, 17. So we've got 2 7s, which means it's all about self. Spontaneous, more than 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 10 to 15, 15, 16, 17, 18. And that's not about self, that means we're giving our power out there, right? And are we in alignment, aligned, allowing, and safe to be sexual more than 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 10 to 15, 15, 16, 17. All right, so some work to do there. And so the first thing is does this group have the creator's definition of sex? No. Does it have the creator's perspective and understanding of sex? No. Can we change this? Do we need information? Is it card number 1, line number 1, emotions, beliefs, relationship? Is it beliefs? Is it programs, responses, behavior patterns? Are these our own? Is there anything else? Are they inherited? Does it go back more than 15 generations? Does it go back 15? Do we need to know more? Can we release this? Unbelievable. Okie dokie. So, got 4 cards here. To change this, what we have to do is we have to release, we don't have the beliefs, but we have the programs, responses, and behavior patterns that we've inherited from our parents, that will be mother and father, and going back 15 generations. That means we came in with this stuff, all right? And when it's 15 generations, it could be going back more, but it means we brought it in as a cellular memory. It's remembered in the cells of our bodies, and that's going back 15 generations. And it also means that there's an attachment to remembering this. It got passed down, maybe not consciously, but how can it not be? So we are going to release all of that now, and we are going to connect ourselves to the creator's definition, perspective, and understanding of sexuality, if you like. All right. Pick up your releasing tool. I fast track the release of all resistance to change, connected to the creator's definition of sex and the creator's perspective and understanding of sex and sexuality. I forgive myself. I forgive my family, my mother and my father. And I release this from every cell of my body. Woof. Going back 15 generations on both sides. I release all programs, responses, and behavior patterns, and anything that no longer serves me as a fearless sexual female. And I replace that with and I align myself with the creator's definition of sex and sexuality. And I have the creator's perspective and understanding of sex and sexuality beyond my mind, beyond my human beingness. Now, so does this group have the creator's definition of sex? More than 80, more than 50, 50, more than 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 67. So we've lined you up now with that. And then the creator's perspective and understanding of sex, more than 50. More than 40, more than 30, 30 to 35, 35, 36, 37. Okay, so this is our starting point from now. Okay, so we have two people, Elaine and Loretta, who would like to share something. So absolutely, you know, hats off to you guys, and all respect, no judgment. Elaine, would you like to kick this off and tell us what you'd like to share, please?
Yes. So, sexuality actually is
Could you speak a little bit closer to your...
Sure. So I just said that sexuality is a very big and heavy issue for me as an Asian, I think. So since I was maybe a child or a teenager, I used to have a lot of shame and judgment around sexuality. And also a lot of judgment, like it's a bad thing, dirty thing, something like that. So my impression of sexuality is just kind of like shameful or evil or bad. And now, because I started to work on my spirituality, I also sometimes feel sexuality is kind of like a blockage towards my spiritual growth. So part of me try to suppress this or try to ignore it. Yeah. So
Brilliant.
yeah, this is well. So right now I also practice qigong, and in the qigong, when I tune in with the energy in my first chakra, I just feel very little energy there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's absolutely brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. And I've got a whole list, you know, and if we need to do this again, or, you know, we'll see what happens today, is that this is, you know, this is absolutely huge. It also connects to a little bit to what Loretta says. So Loretta, do you want to share yours as well? And then we're going to work with these two, because everybody's going to have this to some degree, because it didn't start with us, it came before us, and it's out there in the world, isn't it? Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So for me, I carry a lot. My internet is really bad, by the way. So I carry a lot of disgust, uncleanliness, shame towards myself, because when I was 17, and I'd only had a couple of sexual partners at this age, found out I had herpes randomly, which came about in quite just herpes attack because it lays dormant, and I didn't know anything about it at the time. So I had this great deal of disgust and real shame towards myself, which has only recently come up because I have a new partner. So I've just had to tell him about that, and all these feelings that I forgot about because I've had it for 11 years came back. Yeah, so I feel like there's a lot of there's just a lot of shit there that's not, that I didn't I had. Also, being it the other day and realized that I have not once ever cared about a person before I've had sex with them, if that makes sense.
Could you repeat that you've never cared?
I've never been in love with anyone before having sex with them. Ever. So I've never developed an emotional or spiritual connection before sleeping with someone, and that's been more than 100 people. So I think I just want to get rid of all this shame and dirtiness that I associate with all of this, which I don't think that I have, but it's there because it's not something I spread to the world as a proud. I've had sex with hundreds of people, and I've also got herpes. So, but yeah, it's something I would like to share with you guys as well. And also, any time that I've had a lot of times where my body was not mine to give, like it was taken, or I just gave it away without being any connected to anyone. So I would like to remove that as well.
Part as a separate, okay. And
shame and
everybody, you know, let's respect here for you two for sharing that stuff. Very, very brave. And this is really, this is what this group is about. This is the first. It's where we're doing what you need, and we are free to share, and within the group. And this is where that's energy. This is what. Well, when Loretta first asked me to create this group, this was the idea. This isn't about Jazz doing all the work. It's like, what do you want? What's going on for you that is stopping you? And to bring it up so we can all help each other. Yes, Aga.
Hey. Thank you, Loretta, for sharing this, because I relate really, really strongly of not being in my body, especially in this area. I had many, many partners, luckily with some other fast track before I get rid of the shame and all this shit I don't need already. So that's behind. But I had an experience like for 30 years, I was looking through the world to my mind only. So sex life was, you know, totally limited to this. Then, like last 2 years, I was completely in my body. So I had many experiences, beautiful, not really love, but really experiencing things through the body, opening up, many partners, really nice relations. I wouldn't call it love because there was no like a relationship or something. But now, like last couple months, I'm turning to being in completely different perspective, like from looking at the world and everything from the soul or heart. And now I realize that I wasn't never been present in all those things. Like physically I was there experiencing something beautiful, but it wasn't real me, you know, inside. Like I was and I also find out that it's my female line, my ancestors, and because of the war and experiencing a lot of you know, I'm from Poland, so probably my grandma or grandma of my grandma and everybody they were just raped during the war times, and they were like, they've learned not to be present in the body. And I realized that I'm with that. Like I have this.
Thank you. This is all incredibly valuable, and we just got a new quality here. So I'm going to put present, because being present to our sex and sexuality, being in the body is, you know, and I can relate to that as well, of not being in the body is, you know, operating from here. Well, you know, and again, we've got this stuff going on, you know, where we are equating sex and love. They're two, they can be together, but they don't have to. But society, upbringing, blah, 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 is, you know, we tend to say, you know, like, oh, it wasn't love. It doesn't need to be love, but we got the judgment. We got the judgment in our physicality, and this is what we need to get rid of. And that's what I was explaining. For me, is I decided what I wanted. I'm like, wow, and it's not love, but it was almost like, but it was a point where it was like, I'm making this choice even though I know that that's not the right person for me. It was still a judgment, but it was still very, very empowering that I'm like, well, that's what I want, and that's what I don't want. And it was I'm not there yet, but to notice this happening, I was so proud of myself. You know, I felt more like, but I have to say this, I felt more like I was the man. I was doing the masculine thing, making those choices. And I'm not judging that. It was a brilliant step. So everybody, great. So I'm going to do this in 3 sections. So when we do the releases, then you think about your own stuff. All right, we brought it up, we've offered it to consciousness, we brought the creator in, whoever the creator is, and that's out there. So you think about your own stuff, and we're going to start with Aga. I'm just muscle tested. I don't know why, but Fast Track will know why. So if you stay on mute, Aga. And also any of you that might have shared something with me privately around your sexuality or around old ways of being, bring this into the mix. Or anything that you brought with you, bring it into the mix, because it's all going to get shifted just by setting your intention. But what I will say is that those who are brave enough to share, those who are brave enough to stick their necks out, they're going to get the most out of it. I stick my neck out every time I do this work, right? Do I ever get my head chopped off? Never. So let's go for it. Okay. So for Aga, do we go to card number 1, line number 1, line number 2? Is it family? Is it birth and womb? Is it inherited? Is it karmic? Is it outer resonance? Is it outer resonance 1, outer resonance 2? Now there's a surprise. Can I have more information? Line number 1, 2, 3. The body, the heart, trauma. Something else? Okay, this is freaking amazing. So Fast Track's really rocking up for us today. So everything that you said, you're absolutely on track, Aga. So this is your separation from being in the physical body, as you say, to not being present. Outer resonance 2, because you are carrying the cellular memory of the pain, suffering, and sacrifice of all of those people that you speak about. All right, so this is it. I'm going to say this slowly. We've all got this. We've all come from somewhere, and there's been experiences of war. Let's say, you know, parents, grandparents, and the pain, the suffering, and the sacrifice connected to sex. Any way that you feel that you're withholding yourself from sex, bring this in to this release. Okay, let's do it. I fast track the release.
I fast track the release
Of all pain.
of all pain,
Suffering and sacrifice.
suffering and sacrifice,
And persecution.
and persecution
of my family,
of my family,
my race,
my race,
connected to my sexuality,
connected to my sexuality,
and my separation
and my separation
from my sexuality.
from my sexuality,
Going back 15 generations
going back 15 generations
and beyond if appropriate.
and beyond it appropriate.
I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for doing this to me.
for doing this to me.
I forgive everyone involved.
I forgive everyone involved.
And I now choose
And I now choose
to bring all aspects of this
to bring all aspects of this
and send them to the light
and send them to the light
for the greatest good of all.
for the greatest good of all.
And I give myself permission to be present
And I give myself permission to be present
in my physical body,
in my physical body,
healed, whole, and complete.
whole and complete.
I am
I am
present,
present,
allowing and available,
allowing and available,
spontaneous and sexual
spontaneous and sexual
in the way that works for me.
in the way that works for me.
It is time
It is time
for me to clear this
for me to clear this
for myself and the planet
for myself and the planet
and connect to the Creator's definition
and connect to the Creator's definition
of sex and sexuality.
of sex and sexuality.
I now choose
I now choose
to have the perception and understanding
to have the perception and understanding.
I now choose to have the Creator's perspective and understanding
And I choose to have the Creator's perspective and understanding
of sex and sexuality
of sex and sexuality
and bring that into every cell of my body.
and bring it into every cell of my body.
Now.
Now.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so what it seems is we're opening to the big thing. So that's about, you know, all that where it's come from and for everybody. So let's see where we go next. Elaine. Is it card number 1, line number 1, line number 2? Family, birth and womb, inherited. Inherited 1, inherited 2. So it's an archetype, as you know. Which one do you think it is, Elaine?
Saboteur, maybe.
Victim. All right. All right. So just think about, and we can have a sharing here, of all the ways you hold yourself victim connected to sex and sexuality. Is you're sitting on it, all right? You're holding it back. You wait to be invited, you know, the poor me kind of thing, you know. You wait for the other person to make the move, to make the suggestions. You are holding yourself a victim of your sexuality rather than embracing it. So victim isn't really the best word for this, but it's because we're working with this system, that's how consciousness directs us. So any way that you're holding yourself back, the poor me, the this, that I'm any of that stuff. It's time to kick it out. What's the opposite of victim? Victorious. What would be a great energy, you know, to be absolutely a winner within your own body. Forget what it looks like. Forget what you like about it, what you don't like about it. You know, this is about you, us, choosing what we want, right? Choosing. Strong. So we did powerful, authentic, and strong. So this is about having the strength to move from victim to victorious. And this really goes back, it will go back to the beginning, but this specifically is about your parents and how they have, their relationship has affected you.
Yeah.
So his family, in any way you want to embrace that, everybody, this said any beliefs, programs, responses, behavior patterns that are keeping you victim. This is the victim programming, and let's bring our bodies into this. I fast track the release
I fast track the release
of all victim programming
of all victim programming
connected to my sex,
connected to my sex,
connected to my sexuality,
connected to my sexuality,
connected to the act of sex,
connected to the act of sex,
and any imbalances
and any imbalances
between the physical me,
between the physical need,
human being me,
human being need,
and my spiritual self.
and my spiritual self.
I forgive my parents
I forgive my parents
for their limitations,
and their limitations,
and I now choose
and now I choose
to release their beliefs,
to release their beliefs,
programs, responses,
programs and responses,
and behavior patterns
and behavior patterns
from my body,
from my body,
my mind,
my mind,
and my life.
and my life.
There is no separation.
There's no separation.
I am
I am
mental,
mental,
emotional,
emotional,
physical, and spiritual,
physical, and spiritual,
and I embrace all of those aspects
and I embrace all those aspects
into my sexuality.
into my sexuality.
Strong,
Strongly,
victorious,
victorious,
powerful.
powerful.
I know who I am.
I know who I am.
I know what I want.
I know what I want.
And I now choose
And now I choose
to action
to action
my desires
my desires
and sexuality
and sexuality
in a way that is right for me.
in a way that is right for me.
I have the Creator's definition
I have the creative definition
of sex and sexuality,
of sex and sexuality,
and anything that does not support that,
and anything that does not support that,
I send it to the light
I send it to the light
now.
now.
Ooh. Is anybody not feeling this? How are you feeling?
Me? Powerful. Grounded and powerful.
All right. So one of the things just is when we start to make changes, radical changes like this, it's my experience that the first time we make that change, we might not be as eloquent or as graceful as we would choose to be. Don't worry about it. First time, no matter what it is, plan it. Not to plan, not in a controlling way, is if you rehearse something a little bit, then you've got some substance. So whether it's something you're going to say, something you're going to do, get an idea of that and how that's going to look, so that when the opportunity presents itself, then you've got that already inside. You're not just winging it completely. And the first time, whatever it is, I have no idea what it's going to look like, it might not be as fluid or fantastic as you might want it to be. But having done it once, is what you do is you celebrate the fact that you actually did it. You actually did it, like, whoa. And the next time will be different, will be easier, will be more of whatever it is that you need. Look at that face. Amazing. All right. Okay. So look for the evidence, but keep it not so graphic. Okay. All right. So let's move to Loretta. So again, isn't this interesting? We had the big picture, all connected to where it's come from, which was AGA, parents and all that hardship stuff. Then it's gone to more to the spiritual, bringing in the spiritual and the judgment side. And now I think we're with the physical stuff here with Loretta. This is the intelligence of fast track. I could not work this out. I just follow what is being given to me, and there is always just an amazing, it's like divine flow. Okie dokie. You up for this, Loretta?
Yes.
Do we go to card number 1, line number 1, line number 2? Family, birth and womb, inherited, karmic, outer resonance. Outer resonance 1, outer resonance 2. Okay. Is this a separation? Is it an emotion? Is this Loretta's emotion? Okay. Is it grief? Is it fear? Is it anything else? Grief. Okay, this is grief. This is about loss. It's any feelings you've got about what you gave away, what was taken. So this is the deeper, this is everything that you've spoken about, but it's your grief. You've lost that. You actually haven't. But what you're feeling is grief about what you did, grief about what you didn't do. And it's another kind of grief. Okay, this is very interesting. So it's also grief about missing that part of yourself, and not being connected to the physicality of this planet. So in many ways, what you have chosen, would have made a choice, would be to connect physically with other beings, to kind of confirm that your physicality. So that physical connection, there's a need for you to have it, to connect with other people, to other human beings. Actually, what you need to do is to connect more with the human beingness of yourself and be present in this body about what this body, this person needs, rather than trying to find it in another person. That makes sense?
A little bit, but I'm just gonna
All right, so listen, if it doesn't make sense, then share it now, Loretta, because if you take this away without sharing it, you see, I won't know what you're not getting about this.
Okay.
So it's important that you get it now, and we can work with that rather than you go away and think, oh, then you go away in a confusion and just wait for it to show up. So let's clear it.
Okay.
So what do you not get?
So okay. So I'm just trying to understand. So it's to do with the so it's having sex with other people to draw me into my body, to be present here. Okay.
So there's two aspects. One is grief about what you've given away, what you've lost, what's been taken from you.
Okay.
All right. So, what you're saying, you've got disgust, shame towards yourself, unclean, all that kind of stuff. That absolutely, you've got that, but that's coming from how you're thinking, and your programming. Okay. What's really going on, this is a deep connection with your soul, with your spiritual self, is that you've given or you've lost stuff. So you need to pull all this stuff back into yourself as a physical, sexual being and all the other aspects. Bring it into this body, contain it, and then start to work with it. But what you've been doing is like to ground yourself, is to connect with that, with other people.
Yeah. Okay. This has come up before when this came up a while ago from someone else, and I just ignored this. But this is the exact thing they said.
Right.
They were like, you're trying to pull yourself into your body. Yeah.
Right. So, and this is what we tend to do. We tend to look for stuff on the outside. We look for approval. We look for blah, 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 whatever it is. Whether it's about sexuality, approval, confidence, doesn't really matter. But this is about your sexuality. And this is, so what happened. But again, the disgust, the shame, and all that kind of stuff, it's almost like, they're the small things. They're the human being things. This is way bigger. So Fast Track's gone deeper into a soul level of this stuff. I fast track the release.
I fast track the release
of all separation.
Of all separation.
From those parts of myself.
From those parts of myself.
I release all grief.
I release all grief.
Guilt, shame, and blame.
Guilt, shame, and blame.
That I'm holding on to.
That I'm holding on to.
Connected to my sex and sexuality.
Connected to my sex and sexuality.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
For everything I've given away.
For everything I've given away.
For everything I've lost.
For everything that I've lost.
And everything I've had taken from me.
And everything I have had taken from me.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself
for allowing this.
for this.
And I now choose
And I now choose
to bring back my power,
to bring back my power,
my sex and sexuality
my sex and sexuality
into this body.
into this body
For myself,
for myself,
for my soul.
for my soul.
I am
I am
clean,
clean,
healed,
healed,
and whole
and whole
now.
now.
I choose
I choose
to allow myself
to allow myself
to be enough
to be enough
for myself,
for myself,
and anything that does not support that,
and anything that doesn't support that,
I send it to light.
we send it to light.
I am
I am
allowing and available,
allowing and available,
spontaneous, sexual, and present,
spontaneous, sexual, and present.
and I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to emanate this out
to emanate this out
and to attract to me
and to attract to me
the qualities I'm ready to receive
the qualities I'm ready to receive
now. Whoa.
now.
Flipping heck.
Thank you so much.
This is big stuff, really, really big stuff. And don't forget, everything that we're doing, we're going back to the creator, whatever the creator is for you, definition and understanding, not human being. We're above all of that.
Whew.
All right. Okay, well done. So, all right. So now what we're going to do, I want you to have a think about any old hang-ups that you might have. Stuff, and again, this is a little bit what you said, Loretta, but, just let's open it up. Any ways that you were, let's say, any ways you used sex and sexuality when you were learning what it was all about and investigating, curiosity, any of that kind of stuff, any decisions you made, any perceived mistakes you made, any judgments, any opinions you've got on yourself, and let's call this old hang-ups. So just for fun, let me just see how many, I'm just going to calibrate. So our subconscious is a computer, right? Now, when you tell a computer release 6 of these things, it will release 6 of these things. If it's got 6, okay. If you ask it to release 26 and you've only got 6, it can't do the job. Right? Now, if you've got 166 and you ask it to release 166, it does that. It doesn't think, well, that's a lot. It will release what is there now. And this is the way you should think about your programming. We're just programs. We're just computers. Your subconscious is a computer. It remembers everything you've seen, heard, and been told forever, and going back, as we've seen, 15 generations or more, and it absorbs stuff all the time. So it's constantly taking on stuff, which is, if it's taking on negative stuff, then that's not a good thing. But the good thing is, if you treat this programming like it's a computer and you just tell it what to do, then it does it. So now let's see. Old hang-ups. Does Wei Ling have old hang-ups more than 5? 5, 4. So you got 3. Trudy, more than 5. 5, 4, 5, 4, 3. Loretta, 5, 4, 3, 2. Susan, who's not here, 5, 4, 3, 2. Aga, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so lots of stuff will have got cleared already. Elaine, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lindsay, 5, 4. Okay, Jazz, 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, okay, I got none. All right. Wow. Wow, how cool is that? All right, so just give it the instruction when we do that to tell your computer, your internal computer, your subconscious, to release those number of old hang-ups. Now, after this, you might want to go through and just write down, see what you think they were. Some of them will be aspects of the bigger one, all right? So you might want to do that just for fun, but once they're gone, they're gone. And it's more important to spend your time looking for the evidence of that. All right. Okay.
Sorry, can I just ask, what do you mean by old hang-ups? Are they like old flames? Is that what you mean?
Okay, an old hang-up is something connected to sex and sexuality that you're holding on to. Some mistake, something that you did, something that you said, something that you felt was inappropriate. You know, it's sexuality. What are you still hung up about?
Okay.
Going back, you know, I think this is about, you know, teenage years where we start to become aware of our sexuality and we start to investigate it or shut it down or whatever it is we do. But I think it's more, you know, we did something with somebody or we tried something or we got rejected. You know, it is some memory that's being held onto that's have a negative impact on your sex and sexuality. And you see what will happen is the computer, anytime it sees you going into an area that's not appropriate based on what it's programmed with, it's like, oh, let's do this, which basically will probably be shut it down because that, you know, you've made a judgment that that wasn't appropriate, right? The stuff you're proud about, it's not going to pay any attention to that. That's just there. But it's the negative stuff. So it's to kick out something that's being remembered that is hanging you up and not allowing flow around your sexuality. Yep.
Thank you.
And again, this is the cellular memory and showing our human beingness is how we tend to hold on to those memories and recreate those memories. So it's like we go round in a loop, cellular memory. So we ask, you know, it's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't very good, or blah, blah, blah. And so we choose to remember it instead of let it go. Yes, Loretta?
Could it something's coming up, and could it be from when we were very young, and it could be involving someone else where we felt like we pressured someone else to do something? It can be that. Okay.
If it's coming up, then it's a really great point. Thank you. If it comes up in your memory, you bet your life that's one of those things. And there might be things throughout your life that are attached to that one thing. Okay, different aspects of that are, you know, like magnetized. Like, you know, a big magnet will bring smaller bits to it. So if it's coming up for you, definitely consider it to be a hang-up. And also know that you can release hang-ups by yourself. You don't need fast track. Fast track goes into the more specifics and gives information. But if you know you've got a hang-up about something, then you just do that. And you've all got the phrase. You don't need this card. Is it a belief? Is it a program? Is it a trauma? Doesn't matter. Okie dokie. And don't forget, we've got the creator on our side. Lindsay, would you like to do this with me?
Yeah.
Okay. I fast track the release
I fast track the release
of all hang-ups
of all hang-ups
connected to my sex
connected to my sex
and sexuality,
and sexuality,
going back throughout the whole of my life
going back throughout the whole of my life
and before, if it's appropriate.
and before, if it's appropriate.
I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for holding on to this,
for holding on to this,
for holding on to these, sorry.
holding on to these,
And I release all aspects of these
and I release all aspects of these
to light.
to light.
It is time
It is time
for me to let go of my past,
for me to let go of my past,
my judgments, fears, and criticisms,
my judgments, fears, and criticisms,
and to be present in this body,
and to be present in this body,
to my sex and sexuality,
to my sex and sexuality,
and to look for the evidence of that
to look for the evidence of that
everywhere, every day.
everywhere, every day.
I am
I am
present,
present,
sexual,
sexual,
and spontaneous,
and spontaneous,
and I allow myself
and I allow myself
to be available to all of this
to be available to all of this
now.
now.
I have the Creator's definition of sex
I have the Creator's definition of sex
and sexuality,
and sexuality,
and I have the Creator's understanding
and I have the Creator's understanding
and perspective
and perspective
of sex.
of sex.
Now,
Now.
cool.
Mhm.
Right. Okie dokie. Has anybody got anything they'd like to share? Okay, so I'm going to do one more general one, and then we'll do the reprogramming. Okay, and this one is connected to Susan. Again, if there's been a response, you get more from me. If I get something, if you give me something, I'll give you more. So you can see how this is going to work. If you keep everything to yourself, then that's how it's going to be. What I want to do is I want to encourage support and responsibility for self. Okay. And so, do we go to card number 1, line number 1, line number 2, line number 3? Okay, so this is old vibrations. This can go 2 ways. Is it old vibrations? Is it stories? Okay, so Susie, these are old stories. Are they connected to sex, sexuality? Are these Susan's own stories? Are these stories that she's telling herself? Yes. Let's find out how many stories she's got. Is it more than 10? Is it more than 5? 5, 4, 3. So she's got 3 stories that she is telling herself about her sexuality that keep replaying over and over again. So let's find out. Oiling, more than 3, 3, 2. Loretta, more than 3, 3, 2, 1. So you can see the numbers are coming down already. Trudy, 3, 2, 1. Aga, 3, 2, 1. And you can bet your life that these old stories are I am not. I'm not this, I'm not that. You can bet they start with I'm not. Elaine, more than 3, 3, 2, 1. Lindsay, 3, 2, 1. Jazz, 3, more than 3, 2, 1. Okay, all right. So that old story is on a loop, or a, what do you call it? Is it looped? Repeat. Let's kick it out. Trudy, would you like to do this with me for Susan?
Well, sure.
All right. I fast track the release
I fast track the release
of all old stories
of all old stories
that I tell myself
that I tell myself
about my sexuality
about my sexuality
that no longer serve me.
that no longer serve me.
I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for doing this to me.
for doing this to me.
And I now unhook
I now unhook
these old stories
these old stories
and send them to light.
and set them to light.
I have the Creator's definition of sex
I have the Creator's definition of sex
and sexuality.
and sexuality.
And I have the Creator's perspective and understanding of sex
And I have the Creator's perspective and understanding of sex
and sexuality.
and sexuality.
And I open myself
I open myself
to be present,
to be present,
confident,
confident,
and clear
and clear
around my sexuality.
around my sexuality.
I am
I am
sexual,
sexual,
present,
present,
spontaneous,
spontaneous,
available and allowing,
available and allowing,
and anything that does not support this,
and anything that does not support this,
I command to the light.
I command to the light.
And I choose to look for evidence of this
I choose to look for evidence of this
everywhere, every day,
everywhere, every day.
now.
Now. Whew, whew.
All right. Okay, so allowing was 27, more than 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 95, 96, 95, 95, 96, 96%. Available was 17, more than 80, 90, 98, 97, 96, 95. Spontaneous was 18, more than 80, 90, 95, 94, 93. Sexual was 17, more than 80, 90, 95, 95, 94, 93, 92. And present, more than 50, more than 60, more than 70, 60 to 65, 65, 66, 67. Is there anything else we can release today? Okay, so isn't that interesting? Allowing 96, available 95, spontaneous 93, sexual 92, and present 67. So being present in our bodies, present to our sexuality from a physical place. So that's where that's where there is a discrepancy. However, that number will increase. We're going to do the reprogramming now. And if you look for evidence, more of the physical evidence of how you feel, you know, physically how you feel, and whatever that represents for you, it will change. But looking for the evidence, you know, you might just find that, you know, you feel like getting dressed up more. You might find that you'd like choose a different piece of jewelry. It's all evidence. You know, you might want to decorate yourself a little bit more and spend more time on your skin. Who knows? All right. Let's do the reprogramming. Right foot over left, left hand over right. And also know that if these words, when you're doing this by yourself, if you want to change any of these words for something else, you can do that. So close your eyes, connect to, bring your pyramid down around you, and connect that pyramid in 8 places around the base. Seeing that and recognizing that this is the same shape as the original pyramid. It is the most powerful shape in the world. And when you put anything into this type of pyramid, it will manifest at the level of what has been put in there. And we are at the highest vibrations that are available to us today. And those intentions will manifest at that level. Bringing in as a part of yourself, or connecting to, acknowledging your sexual being self. That part that has perhaps been put on a hold, suppressed, ignored. Bringing that part of you in with consciousness and inviting it to be, to choose its own place within the pyramid. And letting go of any need to control or alter this. Connect to light above your head. Bring that light down. That is consciousness. That is the consciousness from Creator, your higher self. Bring that down into your pyramid, into your brain, your mind, and your memory. Give permission to release, relax, and clear all imbalances that are available connected to this issue and anything else connected to Fearlessly Female that is ready to be released today. Acknowledging this happens instantly when you affirm your intention. Come down into your eyes, and anything you've seen, think you needed to see, or anything you haven't seen, wanted to see, searching for, connected to sex and sexuality. Release all blocks, guilt, shame, blame. Replace it with clarity, present, and free. Bring the light down into your ears. Anything you've heard, think you've heard, think you need to remember that you've heard it. Connected to sex and sexuality, yours, somebody else's, human conditioning. Give permission to release all of that that is available to be released, while allowing you to stay safe and present in your body. Bring the light down into your neck and your throat. Any way you're blocking yourself, restricting yourself, your sexuality, any way you're saying no to that, Any way you are doing things to please other people. There weren't any blocks to sex and sexuality, connected to communication and expression, whatever that means to you, and even beyond your mind, send this to light. Moving down into your shoulders, any burdens that you're carrying connect you to what you did, what you didn't do, what you should have done. Any of this weight, any need to work things out. Just give yourself permission to release all of this. Send it to light. Command it to light. And then down into your arms in any way you might have felt helpless, hopeless, hands tied behind your back. Any way you've used your hands, your arms to hit out, or any way that has come back at you in any way, shape, or form. Release, relax, and clear all of this to light. And then down, bring the light down, bring it down your spine, bringing in light and flexibility, spontaneity, playful and fun. Bring the light also into your heart, giving your heart permission to experience more sex and sexuality in alignment with the Creator's definition, understanding, and perception of sex and sexuality. Letting go of all human beingness that no longer serves you, and connecting with the Creator and the Creator's perspective. Anything else that does not serve this, send it to light and allow your heart to open and expand into every cell of your body, over 70 trillion cells, vibrating with sex, sexuality from the Creator's perspective. Bring that light down into your hips, into your buttocks, opening your hip. Any way that you're holding tension there, holding yourself back, restricting yourself, surrender this to light. The buttocks, let go. Bring this light through into your gut, your belly. Release, relax, and clear anxiety, worry, nervousness, guilt, shame, blame, anything that's going on there in any of the organs of your body. Send this to light. And then down into your sexual organs. Anything that you are holding onto there that no longer serves you, recognizing it might not even be yours. Recognizing that this might be going back 15 generations. Recognizing it might be somebody else's. No matter what it is, set the intention to send this to light and replace it with available, authentic, powerful and strong. Bring the light down your legs. Any stuckness, stubbornness, resistance to being sexual, to change, to embracing more of your fearless female. Allowing yourself to get bigger than you are. Allowing yourself to do this for all women. Allowing you to do this for the bigger me. Bring that light down into your ankles, your feet, and your toes. Embrace those parts of yourself. Bringing them in, healed, whole, and complete. Send that light down from your feet and ground yourself in the new energies of allowing and available, present, spontaneous, and sexual. Create a picture of how this is going to work for you. See yourself more in your body, embodied, present, loving, playful, available, spontaneous. Allowing your sex and sexuality to be part of the gift of who you are. Whatever picture you bring into your mind, you do not have to believe it. Your subconscious does not judge. So the more amazing and beautiful you can make this, bringing all your senses, smell, taste, touch, feel, bringing them in, this will become the new subconscious programming. And to support this, please say these words with me. Today I am aligned, allowing, and safe as my sexual being self. I am allowing and available, spontaneous, sexual, and present now. Today I am aligned, allowing, and safe as my sexual being self. I am allowing and available, spontaneous and sexual, and present to it all. And anything that does not support this, I uncreate and destroy it now. Cross your left foot over your right and your right hand over your left. Today I am allowing and available, spontaneous, sexual, and present to my sex and sexual self more than before. And anything that does not support this, I uncreate and destroy it now. Today I am allowing and available, spontaneous, sexual, and present to my sexual self. And I will look for the evidence of this everywhere, every day. Now, when those words feel like they've settled, and cross your hands and your feet. Bring your thumbs to your third eye. And we repeat that one more time, and this will save it to both hemispheres of the brain. Today I am allowing and available, spontaneous and sexual, and present to my sex, and present to sex and sexuality more than before. And I will look for the evidence of this everywhere, every day. Now. Whew. Take a deep breath. I'm going to stop the recording here.